The vote shows that we are a deeply divided country. Let us not for 1 minute forget that he did get 70 million votes. That also means that President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has to now try to move forward with a very serious surging pandemic, with an economy that is unstable, and try to reach out to some of that 70 million, some of the Republican leadership, regardless as to what happens in Georgia, to try to move forward to take care of the health and the economic reality of the American people. It's time not only to tell the president and those that are going in these conspiracy theories on the right to tamp down, it's time to tell those of us that are progressive, wait a minute. This is not time for a gloating party in the middle of everywhere. We have got to deal with the fact we told the American people we were more adult, we were more grown up, and we were more concerned. We need to show that, not by trying to say we beat you and take it out of the schoolyard, go back into the classroom, and let's teach America how to really do the things that we need to do.
Amen. You know, Rev, that is such an amazing point, because that's what Joe Biden talked about on Saturday night. That's what he talked about during the entire campaign. I hear some Democrats saying, oh, now's our time to stick to. No, it's not. No, it's not. Now is the time to bring the country together. That's what your candidate, Joe Biden, promised to do. Now's the time for Democrats to work with Republicans. And yes, Republicans at times are going to have sharp elbows. Chuck Schumer, guess what? He's got sharp elbows. If you don't believe he has sharp elbows, ask Miguel Estrada and a lot of other people. They all got sharp elbows up on Capitol Hill. No side's perfect. No side's terrible. They have to learn to work with each other. And so Rev, I salute you for saying that. And yes, 71 million people voted for Donald Trump. I'll be the first to admit, as a small government conservative, I don't understand why, but I do know this. They're half the country.
Right.
And we got to figure out how to move forward with malice toward none. If Abraham Lincoln could say that after my region was responsible for starting a war that killed 700,000 Americans, and Abe Lincoln in the second inaugural address could talk about with malice toward none, we can do that now.
So, but I think we're talking about two things. Just to close this off here, of course, obviously, there's not only a massive search to understand these 71 million people and what drives them and what they need. And I think Joe Biden made that clear repetitively. And I think a lot of Democrats are, too. And certainly we are. But where's Mike Pence? And these little legal battles trying to sort of undermine the results here. The results show that Joe Biden won. That's not malice. That's not trying to stick it to anybody. That's just the facts right now.
Okay, but Mika, you and Mitch McConnell said this. Let all the votes be counted. If there are legal challenges to undertake, let them undertake their legal challenges. Let the courts rule, and then we can move on. So the votes still haven't all been counted in Arizona. They still haven't all been counted in Georgia. They still all haven't been counted in North Carolina. They still haven't been counted in Pennsylvania. Is Joe Biden the winner? Yes, he's going to win this. Let the votes be counted.
Let them do that. But if you look at some of these legal battles and some of the stuff that Rudy Giuliani is putting out there.
Well, he's an idiot.
It's laughable. No, but my point is, what's the desperation? What's the desperation of President Trump's tweets? I won this thing by a lot, like a little kid.
Why are you letting it bother you?
It's not bothering me at all.
Okay.
I'm asking, the question is, what does he see on the other side of this that is having him act so unbelievably erratically against what is so transparently true? I'm not bothered by this. I'm asking the question about legal battles that he could be facing.
We're 4 years into Donald Trump, and you're asking what does he think comes out of this? He's a day trader. As Maggie Haberman said, he's lived his entire life just trying to survive the next 10 minutes. He will figure out at some point that it's over, because people around him know it's over.
Well, of course. But I think many would say the more destruction you do now, the more destruction you do to your next act.
Nobody believes him. Nobody believes a word he's saying. What destruction? Nobody believes him. Listen, I think it's reckless. Yes, it's reckless. He's a reckless man. But nobody believes him. His family doesn't believe. I think everybody knows this is over. They just do. Jonathan Lemire, let me ask you on that point. Everybody knows it's over. What's the family saying to him?
The family are some of the voices that are saying that it's not just over yet. As you mentioned, Rudy Giuliani is perhaps the loudest in the president's ear, but his adult sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, are also urging him to keep fighting.
He doesn't listen to Don Jr. and Eric. What about Melania and Ivanka and Jared? Are they really going to try to go back to New York as champions of undermining a legitimate election result?
Well, certainly the plan had always been for Ivanka and Jared to return to New York whenever the president left office. We'll see if that's still the case. Jared Kushner is part of this team. He is part of the decision-making process, who has, at least to this point, has said that he wants to let the legal challenges play out, that he has not urged, despite some reporting over the weekend elsewhere. We have said, he confirmed he has not urged the president to concede yet, but he is telling him, and he's telling others this, that he should consider his options. But
thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.